This thing is weird to me, Chris. It goes back to Thursday night of last week, where we're locked in. We're getting ready, preparing for the draft. You're outside smoking a little something before you settle in next to Ahmed to do your reaction
Exactly
videos.
right.
I mean, it was literally 5 minutes before the draft began. The announcement comes out that the Cardinals and the Eagles have resolved a tampering investigation involving impermissible contact between Cardinals GM Monti Ossenfort and former Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon at a time when the communications weren't allowed. And in lieu of the NFL kicking ass and taking names, as it does when it rarely enforces the tampering rules, it does it every once in a while. The last time I think that, well, tampering obviously enforced last year against the Dolphins with a first-round pick forfeited for tampering blatantly with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Before that, it was the Chiefs who called up receiver Jeremy Maclin during that window where you can only talk to the agent, you can't talk to the player. God forbid they talk to the player, and they gave up a third-round pick plus for that. Rarely does it get enforced.
Yeah.
It got enforced via a negotiated settlement, something unprecedented.
Doesn't
Chris.
seem fair.
It's without precedent.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Hey, you kids, work it out among yourselves. No, the league office is in charge of this. It's a blatant violation. Blatant. They admitted to it. They did it. The league should impose punishment. It shouldn't be, hey, you work it out among yourselves. From the get-go, the fact that that was how it was resolved and that it was all brushed under the rug just as we're focused on the start of the draft. They knew what they were doing when they announced that when they did. They wanted no one to pay attention to it. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The great and powerful draft is about to begin. That's why they did it, because they didn't want people asking questions. Because I think they know if enough questions are asked, the answers are going to just collapse. And it's all going to be a big sham hiding something deeper than a phone call. That's what I believe. And that's kind of the background to where we are as we move forward with it. But the whole thing was just weird, Chris. It was just weird how it was hidden. They did their best to hide it from everyone.
It's unprecedented. I mean, you kind of alluded to it on Monday. I mean, yeah, you just said the examples there. You know, we never saw anything like this, the trading of compensation and doing all of that. That's where I just want to go, where did this come from? This is a little bit of like, yeah, hashtag we're making it up as we go. That's what it seems like a little, you know. And, yeah, if I'm one of the other teams who, you know, maybe was cheated in years past, I'm going, well, why didn't I get to trade picks with the team that tried to steal my coach? So that's where it just does not seem fair all the way. And, you know, again, I want to, sure, Jonathan Gannon, Monti Ossenfort, they should know not to do that. But you and I know this is so it always happens. It always happens. Oh, right. This is always going on behind the scenes to where, Mike,
Put a pin in that.
Well,
Put a pin in that.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
But I got something for you.
All right. Let me just finish
one
last thought, and you can take the floor here. It's just that it makes me wonder if there was really more to this, and they're just not letting it on. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's why we're friends. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Yes.
I feel like there's more to this.
Yes.
This isn't the garden variety run-of-the-mill tampering. I feel like there's something more that they don't want us to know about.
Yeah. Like they met, like Monty flew to Philadelphia and met with Jonathan. Yeah, I'm just throwing out examples. I don't know, but right.
Jonathan Gannon didn't talk to the media at all during the draft. He was shamed into doing it yesterday, and inevitably he was asked the question about the tampering. Here's what he had to say about the phone call that he took that he knew damn well he shouldn't have taken from Monti Ossenfort right after the NFC Championship game. Have a listen.
You know, it's a mistake that we made, and the league kind of rectified it, and we've moved on. But basically, after the NFC Championship game, Monty reached out and, you know, kind of said, hey, you know, congratulations. He's been to some Super Bowls and gave me a little advice about how to handle that and said, look, like we're in the middle of a coaching search and don't know how the timing of this is all going to shake out. But basically, would you be interested in interviewing if the timing gets pushed back till after Super Bowl? And I said, yeah, I would be. And then I didn't hear about it until after the game that we played when Howie came up and talked to me about, hey, you know, Arizona wants to interview you. So, you know, you know, it was a mistake that we made, and I apologize for that. And, you know, looking forward to moving on now and getting going. So that's kind of the story on that one.
Drew reports out of Philadelphia that it wasn't a conversation, it was a Zoom interview. Can you?
No, it was not a Zoom interview. It was a phone call. And, I've talked to Monti before, a couple years ago, a year ago or whatever, and I picked up, and, that's impermissible contact. So that's what it is, and the league handled it how they wanted to handle it. And, like I said, looking forward to moving on.
Well, he picked up, but he didn't hang up right away when he realized who it was. He didn't say we can't have this conversation. He had the conversation. Now, assuming that everything he said is true, okay? And I'm not sure it is, because like you, I think there's more to this story.
Yeah, I do too.
But let's just focus on, let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Even though he bragged a week and a half ago when they unveiled the new uniforms that he doesn't tell the whole truth to the media. Let's assume that he was telling us the whole truth. Think about the impact of that as you're getting ready for what is supposed to be the game of your life. Defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, getting ready to face Patrick Mahomes and company in the Super Bowl with a superior roster, you're favored to win. Your full focus should be preparing for that game, right? But what do you know? Simply by taking that phone call, you know you're going to interview with the Cardinals after the game. That creates necessarily a distraction, Chris. Necessarily something he's going to be thinking about when he otherwise could be thinking about stopping Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Every second he spent during that 2 weeks thinking about that next interview. And who knows what he did or didn't do to act on it, lining up staff members, mapping out his outline, anything that he did, knowing he was going to have that interview for roughly 2 weeks in advance, anything he did to prepare for it took away from his preparation for the Super Bowl. And I don't, look, I can already hear the people saying, oh, he can do both. You shouldn't be doing both. You're trying to go win a Super Bowl. Your sole focus in life, every waking moment until that game has ended, is that game. And Chris, it's funny, when I was writing it today, it hit me. What was the thing that we knew was the big flaw in the Eagles' defense? What was the big flaw with the Eagles? You talked about it.
I know. The motions, the adjusting to the
flaw?
Things, the emotions, the formations. Right. It's something I broke down a lot before the game. Right.
Were they ready for it?
No.
Were they ready for it when it happened?
No, they obviously messed some things up. Yeah.
Right. And and when did the Chiefs use the same play that was used in the Super Bowl that really was the moment the pendulum swung in Kansas City's direction?
Yeah.
Had they just drawn it up for that game, or had they used it before?
Right. They had used it one before against Arizona, actually, right? Early, the first game of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
We knew.
I hear you.
I mean, I look at it this way.
Yeah.
I look at it this. I mean, and again, I don't think this becomes a thing unless the Eagles found out and got really pissed off.
Right.
Because, look, the way it's been sold to us, and we know they lie to us all the time. We know it. Let's just accept the fact. The NFL and the teams lie to us all the time because they don't want us to know the truth about certain things. They are having us believe that Monti Ossenfort had some sort of crisis of conscience. Oh, I made a phone call I shouldn't have made. We should self-report. Who the hell self-reports? To your point, everybody violates the rule. This is the easiest thing to justify looking the other way on. No harm, no foul, we move on. Okay? That's what would have happened 99.99% of the times. But maybe, Chris, there was harm in this foul. And you know how buttoned up the Eagles are? They blow a 10-point lead in the second half of the Super Bowl. My guess would be they did a full study of what in the F went wrong. And in the course of doing the full study of what in the F went wrong, they maybe poked around a little bit on somebody's phone.
Maybe.
I mean, we already knew he was a candidate for the job.
Okay.
Right?
So
We poke around a little bit on his phone. We poke around a little bit in the emails. We find out exactly what was going on here. We find out maybe this rabbit hole's a little bit deeper than a phone call. They get pissed. It goes to the league level. The league doesn't want all that getting out because it makes everybody look bad. If the cheating is that over the top, if it undermined the integrity of a Super Bowl, if it was so bad that it undermined the integrity of the Super Bowl, we are going to cram cement into that rabbit hole before anybody even begins to ask questions about it. My spider sense, my pasta and meatballs are telling me that there was a big, ugly mess And the league talked the Eagles into letting it go because it was going to make everybody look bad if the truth came out. That's my gut feeling. They're never going to tell us the truth, but that's my gut feeling.
Well, I don't disagree. All right, so there's some things I totally agree with them. There's some things I want to pose some questions for here. One, there has to be more than the conversation. There just has to be. Like you said, it goes on everywhere. There's no way to stop it. You know, it's everywhere. Sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't. But this is what's going on. Back channel connections to start the conversation of, hey, we're going to have an open spot. We'd like to hire you down the road. Everybody breaks those rules. Everybody. All right. I got to think that there was more to that, and that's why the Eagles made it more of a big deal. You know, to your point, whether they
how do they find out?
Right.
But that's my point.
Yeah,
how do they find out?
I know. I don't know.
He's not going to tell them.
No, you're exactly right. He's not going to tell them. So they must have found out more, right? And then made it a big deal to the league, right? To now the league steps in and tries to get this done. To oh wait, there was some issues here, and damn, the Cardinals did infiltrate the Eagles and Jonathan Gannon a little too much there to where I understand the Eagles being pissed off. I mean, that's how it looks right now.
And hey,
yeah.
the two plays that brought down the Eagles were the inability of the Eagles defense to react to motion.
Right.
The
Now,
one touchdown that was from week one, and then the other one later where it was kind of a screw up and it was the same pivot motion that we knew was their problem.
Yeah. Well,
it was the exhaust port in the Death Star.
Exactly.
That was the way to take down this Eagles team, and they weren't ready for it.
No,
Why?
they weren't.
Because
It'd been
Gannon
you're good.
He's getting ready for his next job.
Well, okay. So now let's get into that.
Pissed.
Let's get into that cut. First off, it was a problem for them all year, as I broke down even 2 weeks before the game.
2 weeks to fix it.
I know. You're right.
Right.
I'm not.
And they know about it, so they got to fix it.
But let's just play this out a little bit. Let's be sensible here. Now, too, this is to me more than a Jonathan Gannon and a Monti Ossenfort problem. See, this is where I want to turn back to the league and go, no, league, you caused this problem. This is you, NFL. This is why the coaching cycle and the hire thing all has to change.
You're right.
This
You're
is
right.
what
You're right.
like you've said a million times, Mike. I don't care. I don't
Great
care
point.
who you are. Wait, hey, honey, I came home today. Yeah, we're preparing for the Super Bowl, but the Cardinals called me to maybe be the head coach. Honey stops asking about the game from that point on, and then she starts going, how did the preparation for the interview go? I know we get the Super Bowl in 9 days, but next day, how did the preparation for that $8 million a year job go? How did that preparation for that change our life job go again? So that's where I want to say, NFL, you need to be dock some picks or give extra picks to some teams here for making this situation hard on people.
Here's why they don't want the truth to come out. If the truth came out, it would be the moment where the groundswell starts to have a moratorium on all interviews until after the Super Bowl. That's why I think it got brushed under the rug.
Yeah.
That's why I think there was no decree from the league, no press release explaining what the violation was. We're just going to let the two involved teams work this out among themselves because we don't want to have to issue a press release explaining exactly what happened and how it happened. During a routine process of breaking down why they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs the way they did, the Eagles realized that there were extensive contacts between Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon and extensive preparations in which Jonathan Gannon engaged up to and including speaking to members of his defensive coaching staff about possibly joining him in Arizona. They don't want all that out there because the only solution to that is nobody talks to anybody about any of these jobs until the Super Bowl is over. And any other scenario allows for this kind of stuff to happen. And it does affect and effect the integrity of the Super Bowl. It does.
It does.
It does.
It does.
If your guy's distracted, planning and plotting for his next job, he's not as ready, his team isn't as ready. I think we're onto something here. They don't want us to know about it because if we know about it, the whole process as it's currently constructed gets blown up.
Well, agreed. I think it would definitely give some issues, put another spotlight on this problem that, again, is not right. They need to redo this anyways. I think we're both in favor of that, right? I mean, we're in favor of it because of all the things we said during the time.
We have been.
Yeah, we have been. Like, it should wait. It's not fair to the Eagles. It's not fair to Jonathan Gannon. It's not fair to Arizona. It's not fair to anybody. Like, wait for the process to play out. Let the season finish, and let's go from there, NFL. I wish they would change that. But I will say, too, I think they opened up opened up Pandora's box here a little bit. Man, I mean, if I'm a good team next year with a coach, I'm just waiting for somebody to call my coach illegally. Hey, NFL, I got somebody to call. I want a swap of their picks and my picks in the third round. Maybe that'll start policing it now that this becomes a thing. I mean, maybe now guys like Nick Sirianni gets wind of defensive coordinators doing something. He calls the league right away and goes, hey, they're doing it with that team. I want to switch fourth-round picks. I don't know, but they certainly have opened up Pandora's box there.
But in a roundabout way,
yeah,
that may be the only way to properly enforce
it. Might
this.
be.
Because now you're forcing guys to go to the trouble of using burner phones and private email accounts. I really do think that Gannon and Ossenfort got sloppy, that it was more than just one phone call,
That's
that
what I would
Gannon
think.
created a trail of digital breadcrumbs that made it clear he was spending time during that 2-week period where he should have been exclusively getting the defense ready for the Super Bowl, working on getting ready for his interview, getting ready for putting a staff together, all the stuff you have to do to go get that job, to go seize that brass ring and the $8 million a year or whatever he's getting paid for it. And yeah, now going forward, you do this at your own peril. Because now, assuming the NFL would ever let anyone do it again, see that we're assuming that this precedent they've created will be honored in the future. That's probably a mistake. They make it up as they go. They fashioned a result here to keep it all under wraps. This was a way to keep it all under wraps and to keep it from exploding. It could be if somebody does this again, they're not going to have such an easy and simple outcome. We'll see. But I really do believe, Chris, that, and you know what? And this is good. It's good why we talk through these things. I think that this is about preserving the current interview process, because they know if the truth came out about what was going on and how it impacted the Eagles. And we can point to those 2 key plays. They weren't ready for those plays because Jonathan Gannon wasn't ready for the game. He wasn't as locked in as he should have been for the game because he was getting ready for his interview with the Cardinals, and he was getting his staff ready, and he was doing all the things you have to do to convince Michael Bidwell and Monti Ossenfort to give you the job. And if that came out, you're right. It all gets thrown out, and nobody talks to anybody. No communications, no emails, no phone calls, no nothing until after the Super Bowl has come and gone. And there are plenty of people who want to do that now.
Yeah.
And that would have given everybody who wants to do it a big old chunk of red meat to sink their teeth into, and it may have affected the change that many have believed for years needs to happen.
We love the league. That's why we're saying this stuff. We love the players and coaches in the league.
We want all the games to be as good as they can be.
Exactly right. We want all of those things, and we want growth of the league and positives, and we talk about the league every day. We want more things to talk about. Why don't we just let the football be football in January and early February? And then when the Super Bowl's over, we can have a 2 or 3 week period where football still dominates the calendar because we're talking about coaches being hired at different places. We can bump the combine back a week. You're the king of the world, NFL. We can move everything around. We can make this work. I don't understand the value in doing this. It does not, I don't think, ultimately help the league, that the way the process is right now. So hopefully at some point they'll dive into that and maybe try to fix it.
Think about it. That's 6 weeks. Is it 6 weeks or 5 weeks? It's 5 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Playoff, week off, Super Bowl. 5 weeks. It's a great cooling off period if you're thinking about firing your head coach. It gives you a chance to really dive into whether or not you want to keep your current coach.
Sure.
And it's also an opportunity to do a lot of work, a lot of background work, a lot of research on more candidates.
Exactly.
Maybe there are people out there that you aren't thinking of that you should be thinking of. Maybe there are coaches who, as of the end of the regular season, aren't on your list, who coach their way through the postseason to the top of your list, like Frank Reich did with the Colts and the Eagles back in 2017, where the Colts get left at the altar by Josh McDaniels. Frank Reich takes the Eagles to the Super Bowl victory, undistracted by any potential head coaching job. Frank Reich able to focus fully and completely on the task at hand of getting the Eagles ready to take on the Patriots and win the game. Then he gets his reward on the back end. Isn't that the way it should be?
Yes. Yes.
What are we missing here, Chris?
No, I know.
It's and again,
And then,
that's why they're hiding it from us. Because if we knew the details of this Jonathan Gannon situation, it would be all anyone is talking about. How in the F-K does the NFL allow this poisonous, infected process to continue?
No, I know, and it is. But at the same time, I don't want to fault Jonathan Gannon totally here. I understand that. And I will say,
product of the system.
Well, exactly, a product of the system. And we see the guys that don't do that, they don't always get hired. They don't politic behind the scene enough. You know, we've seen Eric Bieniemy. I'm just going to coach a team. I'm not doing this right now. We've seen that. Lou Anarumo, the Bengals. I don't think he's really politicking behind the scene. He's letting his playoff talk and coaching do the talking for him. And we're seeing his name always get thrown out there at the end of the playoffs because everybody goes, whoa, what a defensive game plan. Whoa, that was awesome. But because he doesn't politic or whatever else, I think some guys get left, by the side of the road there because they didn't make the right calls in the end of December or early January to kind of get their name in the mix of things. And unfortunately, because of the way the system's set up, like you said, it's a product of the system, and it's just the way it is right now.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.